Star Trek, the ultimate franchise. These are the voyages of 3 veteran Trekkies, Rich, Ian, and Toby. Their ongoing mission? To explore the vast Star Trek universe, to seek out new perspectives and fresh debates, to boldly go where no podcast has gone before. Beyond the Final Frontier.
Hello and welcome to Beyond the Final Frontier, a Star Trek podcast with me, your host, Rich Matthews, and my fellow Voyagers, Mr. Ian Spelling.
Hello, everybody.
And Mr. Toby Weidman.
Hello.
Well, this week, we're particularly reanimated for a special episode of what we're temporarily going to call From Beyond the Final Frontier, because we have a special guest. He's brought the dead back from the grave, he's battled demons, he's survived ghost attacks, he's played Ferengi, Andorians, Vorta, the list goes on. So he's no stranger to prosthetic appliances and contact lenses. We're talking a real Star Trek chameleon of the highest order who has appeared in dozens of episodes across 4 different incarnations of Star Trek. So please, welcome to the podcast, the one and only Jeffrey Combs.
Hey, everybody. Hey. Thank you.
That's our studio audience being thrilled.
Yeah, exactly.
No, really, stop, please. Stop.
So we're really glad you can join us today, Jeff, for what is going to be an exploration not only of Jeff's storied career, but also we're going to look at our favourite aliens across Star Trek. So, of course, there's an abundance to choose from. But we like to start, when we have guests on, with the question, when did you first encounter Star Trek? What was your first memory of it?
My first memory is the debut airing of the original series, September 8th, 1966. I was 12 the next day.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
My birthday's the 9th, and so it was an early birthday gift. I'd seen ads for it, so, I was target audience. I was dazzled by it, and I've been a fan ever since. My father, we only had one TV in those days in the living room, and I didn't get to see all of the episodes that I wanted first go around because, it conflicted with something that he wanted to watch, like the fights or something, and as is human nature, that only made me want to watch it more. But I didn't have to be prompted to do that. I loved it from the very beginning. It really spoke to me.
Jeff, did your dad live long enough to see you on the show?
No.
What do you hope he would have thought seeing you on the show?
Well, I know that both of my parents would have been proud of that. They saw me have a pretty successful theater career. Before I ever came to LA, I did a lot of regional theater, mostly on the West Coast, Mark Taper Forum, Old Globe, South Coast Rep, Arizona Theater Company. So I was a working actor, and I had moved to LA. I remembered that you mentioned From Beyond. I've got a fateful phone call from my uncle when I got home. Though we didn't have phones and, leaving a message and all that. So I had an answering machine, and my mom was in bad shape. So never saw that. And my father, 3 months later, had a stroke. So he lived for another 12 years, but it was not
the father you knew. Yeah.
Yes, no. So unfortunately, they weren't around to see any of my Star Trek work.
Do you think they would have recognized you under all that makeup?
Yeah, well, how could they recognize me anyway? But still.
Yes, but you also that makeup allowed you to have the I think you're the only actor to play 2 different characters in a single episode. Isn't that correct?
I think that is correct in the same episode. Yes.
It's Brunt and Weyoun, wasn't it, I think?
That was a great homage gift from Ira Stephen Bear. I think it was the 3rd to the last episode of Deep Space Nine. And Of course, I didn't get into those makeups on the same day. Although one time I did.
Oh, wow.
And that's the first time I played Weyoun. I had shot the scene, to the death. And I had shot the episode. And it just so happened that the next episode or the next one after that, I was playing Brunt. And they said, listen, would you come in? We want to add a scene. We liked what you did so much. We're short on this episode. Would you come in? And so they added the scene where I talk with René Auberjonois, where I say, you're not a very good liar.
Wow.
That must have been a long day.
Well, yeah, I think I did Weyoun in the morning, and then they took me to the makeup chair and lunch, and then later in the afternoon, I'm Brunt.
I was curious, which of the makeups was the... Did you have a favorite or a preference? Favorite is probably too strong a word, isn't it?
Well, I think they were all really effective. The Vorta were the most comfortable.
Yeah.
Just because there's less of it. The Ferengi makeup, I love playing a Ferengi, but the makeup is, hell on wheels.
Yeah.
You have these huge ears, and you cannot hear. It's remarkable. And you're in that helmet for 14, 15 hours. Your head can't breathe. It's like you have a head cold, so it's kind of challenging that way. And the Andorian got to be more comfortable. I was sort of the test pilot on that makeup. And so there were some tweaks and adjustments in order for it to be more sustainable comfort-wise. I do remember taking aspirin because of what the apparatus was real tight on my head, gripping underneath the wig and all of that. So they got it. Mike Westmore's a genius, so they got it figured out.
How much more exacting was the makeup on Enterprise because it was shot in HD, unlike the other shows?
They were meticulous about it. That's a good point, Ian. They were very much more careful and precise about it, but it wasn't all that much different. I certainly had a forehead piece in the wig. It's just the apparatus underneath it that was had to be sort of adjusted. I know that they were concerned about that. They certainly had really high HD monitors watching closely everything on everyone.
And then were you an actor who acted through the makeup or with the makeup?
I was very lucky in my actor training to have a movement teacher who had a whole course called mask work. It's an old tradition. He had all of these masks with different expressions and what's called a neutral mask, a mask with like nothing. It was astounding to me that you could put one of those on, and a lot of this work was in front of a mirror. So you could see, you put on an angry mask and everything just kind of, the whole body manifests that. Strange. If you're happy, it's a whole other setting, posture. You can't help it. And so I was kind of comfortable. What is Star Trek and special effects makeup, but mask work? So you have to embrace that makeup and use it to your advantage. I've known actors that are lost in it. They don't know what to do. They feel like they don't have their tools. I didn't feel that way. I thought it actually informed me so much, gave me so much information.
Well, on that point, I was wondering, as an actor, you would have found the character in the script, but when you actually get the costume on and then the makeup as well, did that change how you then went and performed that character?
All of it. All of it. When I first did the Vorta, we didn't have the access to things like to look at it, study. I want to see an episode of Deep Space Nine. Do they have any Vorta? Where am I going to find this? There was no real internet per se. You couldn't stream. You couldn't go to the video store at that point, I don't think, and get old episodes. I don't recall that. So I didn't really, you show up at 4:30 in the morning and you really, what are they doing to me? I don't know what this is. And you have to be just let go and let them do their work and be patient. And the really difficult thing of it is that once you're all in it, it's about 6:45, and you eat a quick little egg sandwich or something, and at 7 o'clock they go, blocking, we're ready. So you just don't have, you get in your wardrobe, you have this makeup, you have very little time to make real crucial decisions about how to play your character, because you can't really decide until you've got all the tools. So that was the most harrowing thing.
That must make so amazing that the first time you see Weyoun, you're immediately like, I want him to die. It's just like, oh my God, so creepy.
The other thing with Weyoun are those contact lenses, which I have to say, I've also learned this. Blue eyes are captivating on film.
Yeah.
That's why so many major movie stars, once color came to film, because you just kind of can't take your eyes off blue eyes. It's like a focus point, pulls your focus, attention. That was really a learning thing for me. I don't really have to do a whole lot. All I have to do is stare at someone, and it's a little bit powerful. However, technically, I myself, I wear glasses. When I work, I wear contact lenses sometimes. So they had to piggyback. I had to put my contact lenses in, and then they had to put the colored contact lenses on top of that. Ooh. So in those early few episodes, before they wanted to really start recurring Weyoun, that was a real challenge. They slip, they slide, it's not comfortable.
Were they sclera lenses? Were they full eye?
No, they were full eye. They were just over my my iris.
Yeah.
Once they realized I'd be coming back, they made me my prescription colored lenses, which was a godsend.
And now they would probably just do it digitally, and you wouldn't even have to worry.
Oh, but that wouldn't translate as well on set, would it? You wouldn't have the actors.
But I tell you, I wouldn't like that, because I can't.
You'd still want the lenses.
I don't have that tool. It's not my character. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
That doesn't help me. That may help them, but it doesn't help me.
Yeah, I think it would help. It doesn't help the other performers, the people you're playing against either, does it?
And it doesn't help the other performers. Exactly.
Yeah.
Jeff, in general, as an actor, do you prefer makeup roles, or do you prefer non-makeup roles?
I don't prefer or not prefer. I've had really dreadful experiences. You mentioned From Beyond. Yeah. Too many days in that makeup. The technical abilities in those days was not what it is now. The materials that they used, the chemicals that they used, just the overall totality of the makeup on certain days, that was very tough. So if it's there, I use it, but I don't need it. You get more sleep.
And you don't have to walk around with a pineal gland either, so there's that.
No, the pineal gland.
I always thought it was a bit like Karma, though, because you got to strike some matinee idol looks in Reanimator in particular, and you walked a very fine line, and then it was like for From Beyond, he was like, right, let's slap all the gunk on him.
Let's just destroy him, right? I started out looking okay, and then but that's the story.
But I watched Castle Freak this week, Jeff.
Did you?
And you're brilliant in it, and so's Barbara. But you have no makeup in that at all.
No, didn't have to worry about that. Except that was shot in Italy, a small village in Italy, in a castle. Duh. The big climax of the movie was actually on the tile roof of this castle. It was pretty frightening. They got water and tile, and you're standing there, and I slip. I'm
There's a shot in it where you're standing on the battlement of the roof, looking down. The camera's looking up at you.
Yes.
It's clearly a long distance. I genuinely felt like worried about your safety. I was hoping he was tied down.
And that's what was all around. It was very. Italy, they don't exactly have like water trucks. So it was kind of like a fire hose in the middle of the night, freezing. Let's get them wet.
Awesome.
And then they didn't have anything like alternate clothes to get them dry, to get them wet again,
So suddenly the makeup chair doesn't seem so bad.
Right.
Yeah, where's a heater? That's what I want.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. So the theme of the main episode today is, of course, Star Trek aliens. And one thing I will, if you're happy to kick off for us, Jeff, but the first thing I will say is we one of us is prone to giving ties. I'm not going to say who, but he's an American.
But you just did.
So this is why I'm disclosing this up top, because I couldn't pick for my 5 one of the Dominion species, because they work so well as a triumvirate, the three levels with the Jem'Hadar, the Vorta, and the Founders.
Yes.
So I'm just going to say that's why none of the Dominion species make my list, because I want to put them together. That's not to say others in this group might not have done that. He's
Right.
very slyly smiling to himself. So
Kind of understand that. I understand that.
So what would you? So if you'd like to kick us off, what is an alien species on Star Trek that you particularly love?
Right off the top, the first thing that occurred to me were the Vulcans.
Great.
Particularly Leonard Nimoy's performance. And the way that role was written, created. Of course, the makeup is so simple and graceful and alien and beautiful in a way, but it's that he's got an inner battle. He's a Vulcan, but he's a human, and that's a fine line that Leonard Nimoy navigated so well. This kind of inner emotionality that he just couldn't show. Those are juicy notes to play. Have it, but don't show it. He did it so well. It also was the first thing that drew me into Star Trek in the first place. So, Vulcan, I'd say Klingon. Of course, there's iterations of them, but Klingons really brought a ferocity, a ferociousness, a whole culture of war and conflict, a whole ethos of that. The makeup changed, certainly.
Quite a few times.
Sometimes for the better, and sometimes what are they doing? Why are they purple now? I don't understand. I don't know what that's about. It must be like, at first I thought, well, is this because someone owns the rights to that makeup and so we can't do it that way? But I've come to understand it was probably just, new and improved. It's like a cereal box, it's like, well, I don't know, it's new. I don't know.
And they probably had more money to spend on it.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
I guess so. So I'm not going towards the makeup per se as the worlds, or of course we know all of these aliens are reflections of different aspects of human personalities writ large, and so I love those sort of examinations.
Do you ever wish you could have played a Klingon?
No, not really. I was around a lot of Klingons, and they're, as you know, and they were always tall, robust, for the most part, actors. I'm not tall or robust like that, so I don't think I was in the ballpark in terms of playing a Klingon. I suppose there are notes of Klingon vibe with the when I played Shran. They're both warriors. They both stand their ground. Maybe they both have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. Maybe. So I borrowed a little bit of their of that to play Shran. But no, I never thought of myself as a Klingon, and quite frankly, neither did they. so that's okay. You can't play everything.
Should we give one of ours and give you some thinking time?
Yeah.
Yes, I thought maybe let's take turns. Let's play cards.
For my first one, I've got probably a fairly niche one, but I always loved this race, but they didn't really get used that much, but it was the Vidians on Voyager.
Great choice.
Who were horrible.
Yeah.
They were essentially, they had the phage, this disease that just sort of necrotized their flesh and their bodies. And so they went around stealing organs and
grafting it onto themselves,
and grafting it onto their bodies.
Yeah.
And and you want to talk about a makeup job? Oh, it was like, wow.
Yeah, that sounds like a long
lots
day.
of pustules and oozing scars and different. It was such a visceral look and feel, and also just the to go back to what you used recently, the bathos and the pathos of these tragic, horrible, nasty creatures that were just like desperately trying to survive. And you're saying what you said, Jeff, about how all aliens are a reflection of humanity in some form. This was just just that. How far are we prepared to go to live,
to survive?
Yeah, and it was just and it was just that thing of having a species where just every time anyone on one of the crew interacted with them, and like, oh God, I just don't even want to look at them.
Well, a tribute again to the great Mike Westmore.
Yeah, absolutely.
I honestly don't know that. I never really watched a whole lot of Voyager. I was kind of enmeshed at that time into Deep Space Nine. So
yeah, the sad thing about the Vidians is they're only really in the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, it's like 5 episodes. Not very
Once
many.
Voyager had moved out of their space, then they never came back again, which is a real shame.
Well, how about you? Your turn.
Not wanting to blow too much smoke up your ass, Jeff, but
Nobody can ever blow enough smoke up Jeff Combs' ass.
Well, too much makeup on my ass? Is that what you said?
Well, speaking of makeup, it's blue powder, because my 5th spot goes to the Andorians, and that's really just thanks to you, because they didn't really feature a huge amount. They're a little bit in the original series. They pop up in the films, but other than that,
Right.
it's not until Enterprise where we really get to know the Andorians. And
Well, I thank you for that. I certainly, when they called and offered me Enterprise, first of all, I was in a space where it's like, geez, they're doing a new Star Trek, and I didn't even get to audition for it or vie for anything. What am I? So it was kind of like, and so I was wary for a guest star, and I said, well, what species? What am I playing? And they said Andorian, and I knew who they were. I'm so grateful that their reimagining of them, really, because up until then they're kind of vacuous, creepy diplomats that maybe were kind of oily, but for them to militarize them like that, I just love that idea. That was a really brilliant choice on their part.
But also making them sort of borderline xenophobic, derogatively calling humans pink skins and hating the Vulcans and the Tellarites, just really interesting stuff that they'd never done with that species before.
Well, I loved all that because those are 3 of the founders of the Federation.
Yeah.
And it just shows that there was not a whole lot of love here. There's a lot of resentment, and and mountains to climb to get to a point where they could be
The biggest sadness is, as I understand it, if it had gone into the 5th season, that Shran would have become a regular, right? I mean, that's sad for me.
Yeah, I try not to. I take it as a compliment, but what can I do about that?
No.
You know, I think Enterprise got sort of a real short shrift here.
We all think that.
We all agree.
The original series only went 3 seasons. So I think they pulled the plug too quickly because every single Star Trek series needs some time to get its sea legs.
Yeah.
By the 3rd, 4th season, I think Enterprise was really humming, starting to find its voice. And they go,
The sort of Manny Koto era really started to sing, didn't it?
Yeah.
I love Manny Koto. He was a fervent Star Trek fan. He understood the genre and franchise, and he rejoiced in embracing the original series aliens. I'm not sure, but I think Rick Berman and Brandon Braga really didn't want to harken back. They wanted to go forward. But I think the better choice was Manny Koto incorporating, and I'm glad he did. It was one of my biggest honors to play Shran. They really gave me a wonderful role to play. When I did it the first time, my first episode, you know, the only question I asked when I said yes to it is, well, does he die at the end of the episode? Because Weyoun died
many times
at the end of his first episode, and he got cloned, but that's not going to happen again. So they said no, and I went, okay, I'll do it. And I'm glad because they kind of embraced me and kept bringing me back.
And then I'm going to go to.
Thank you for putting me on your list.
You're on mine too, but you're much higher on
few more times.
Just for the record, you're much higher on my list. Here are the aliens that did not make my list: Bajorans, Xindi, Talosians, Gorn, Species 8472, Vorta, Vidians, Hirogen, Jem'Hadar, Ferengi, Romulans, and the Borg are not on my list. So my number 5
Who's left?
Scared the living shit out of me as a teenager was the SETI eel.
Oh,
Star
I
Trek
didn't even think
2.
of that.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
They looked real. I couldn't believe the visual effects, the creature that they created crawling around in the sand, and then the cool shot of it going into Chekhov's ear. That was 1982. I was 17 years old. I saw it on a big screen. I was getting into horror movies at that point. And here's this Star Trek movie, and all of a sudden you have this horrific little creature that goes in your...
Like something from outer limits.
It goes in your
right?
fucking ear and, messes you up. And what it did to Paul Winfield and what it started to do to Chekhov, I mean, it was scared the hell out of me. So that is my number 5.
Good choice.
But now I'm rethinking, all of mine have got 2 legs. I've just realized an error in my judgment.
Is this a first for you guys that he has an error?
No, absolutely not.
I can vouch for that. We should do a top 10 for that show. But anyway.
Ouch.
All right, what's your number 4, Rich?
My number 4 is the Bajorans.
Really?
Yeah, for many of the reasons actually that what you said, Jeff, about what appeals to you. It's not about the makeup. It's about the history, the story, the culture.
The inner conflict. Yes, all of that.
But also, in the same way that you said how Leonard Nimoy's Spock makeup was simple and effective, I think the Bajoran makeup, the nose piece and then the earrings and that sort of was very effective. But the strength of Deep Space Nine, which you were very much a part of in terms of both as a Ferengi and as a Vorta, is the exploration of these cultures, the deepness of which they come with, and the sense of singularity but universality that you could see across all of them.
Right.
And the fact that Deep Space Nine, and particularly Ira's work, explored religion in a way which you could argue is antithetical to Roddenberry's original humanistic view, but it allows such a layering, and that's.
But if you think about it, in humanity, and it would be the same in the multiverse out there, that you would run across species that are highly religious and have a whole belief system and a spirituality. So why wouldn't you explore that?
Exactly. And then you get characters like, I suppose the height of it is Kira.
Yeah.
We've been lucky to speak to Nana on the show, and that character and that conflict in that character and the growth of that character is just, unprecedented and a great opportunity for an actor. And that's what DS9 had meat for its actors in terms of the writing and the depth and
the writing. The play's the thing. Mm-hmm. And every time I would get a script, it would be so many wonderful notes to play. As an actor, it just kept giving. And I'm really proud of Deep Space Nine that it's held up all these years, and actually its appreciation within the Star Trek catalog only grows.
That's the best part is you got Weyoun, you've got the lead founder, you've got Ducat, you've got my personal pet hate, meaning I love to hate, was Kai Wynn, Louise Fletcher.
Yeah, she was what a wonderful actress, but she was watch out. she could very powerful.
I think the reason I picked the Bajorans are so high is because they're a triumph of the writing above all. And then the performance and the act, and it's a very minimal makeup job, but it's beautifully illustrative of the human condition, albeit through this very particular prism. But that's what DS9 and Ira did so well. So.
Yeah, I just think of the makeup. Really, just Bridges.
The lucky bastards.
Yeah. Wait a minute, I'm here for work. Hey, come back.
But no one had it worse than René. No one had it worse than René, did they? So,
René. I had done theater a couple of summers with René down at the Mark Taper Forum 10 years before Star Trek. So I knew him, and he'd go, come to my trailer and we'll have lunch. And so you get your food delivered to you. You order it in the morning and they bring it to you because we all wear makeup. We can't go anywhere. I come to his trailer, and it's every time I would go in there, it would be, René, why is your lunch pea soup? What are you doing? He goes, Jeff, look at me. It used to not be pea soup, but then I would have to spend an hour in the makeup trailer for them fixing my lips. So this is what I can eat without having to put myself through that.
Yeah. Liquid diet by necessity.
Yeah, people don't think about these things. But he had to sacrifice, like, having something he really wanted.
Sticking with Deep Space Nine, and I don't do ties, Jeff, as we might have understood from Richard's comment earlier.
Americans. American.
In this instance, I am going to go with the Dominion.
Oh,
because
I didn't do it. If I knew I'd been allowed, damn it!
Because
they'd be my first.
Although they're clearly different species, I do see them as a package. You don't have one without the other,
Long live the Dominion.
I feel cheated, Jeff, now, because they would have been my number one.
I mean, it's an oligarchy after all, really. You got the founders as the leaders, but the Jem'Hadar and the Vorta, they were genetically engineered by the Changelings.
And it's a wonderful creation.
Yeah.
The Dominion.
Really complex antagonists who don't see themselves as villains. Their whole thing is that they're, it's just a clash of ideologies.
It is.
When I was working for a science fiction mag, I had to interview, and I had to come up with some of the questions. And my question to the interview panel was, can you name the 3 species in the Dominion?
Well, that would be the Vorta, the founders, and Jem'Hadar.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And you could throw the Breen and the Cardassians in there as well, really.
Well, yeah, I guess they're allies to the Dominion.
Yeah. Collaborators.
Yeah, there's no way Weyoun would have included them.
Yeah. Dominion adjacent, I prefer to think of it.
But the thing, and this is the thing that stands out for me, is since after their introduction in season 2 of Deep Space Nine, the Dominion just dominated the series, and they're only really they actually only appear in about 40 episodes. Out of 170 episodes, right? But they're mentioned a lot, and the whole thing is that they're always in the background.
Well, I think that they were brought in. You got to have a real good bad guy, and I think they were brought in because Deep Space Nine's biggest challenge was that it's a space station, and you're not
exploring,
to seek out new life. You're not going where no one. It's all it's kind of way station coming to them, and so there's not a whole lot of vibrant, theatrical battles. It's a more, can we all just kind of get along? And I know Ira probably went, we've got to break this mold. We got to break out, and we got to create a real problem here and get us actually off this station. And I'm glad to say also kicked off the station for a little while. So it was a genius writing move to really put some new blood into the storylines.
Mm-hmm. My number 4 is also a off the rack choice, the Horda.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, the Horda.
Anybody who asks me what got you into Star Trek,
Devil in the Dark.
Devil in the Dark was
same.
Arguably the first episode I've ever seen, and still among my favorites of all time of the original series. It's a blob with a heart of gold, with maternal instincts, juggling so much pain and so much love, so much hate and anger. And it was a mom, a parent, and to go to what we've been talking about, so human. I mean, I just remember being touched.
That's a really wonderful choice. That's great writing, and it's also actually kind of examining the human condition when you see someone who looks totally different from you, and maybe they're a little frightening, but you have no backlog on, so you're going by what they physically look like as opposed to who they really are. So I like your choice. It also was one of the first, I don't know if it was one of the first, but it's the first time I remember emotionality from Spock. Because he mind melds
and absorbs it. Yep.
And exudes the kind of, you only know how the Horta are feeling through his performance, which I think it's just brilliant. It's great writing.
Yep.
Bravo to you. I agree with that one.
Plus you get the line, I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer.
Right.
Jim, I'm a doctor, Jim, not a bricklayer. Thank you very much. He was one of my favorites of the series as well.
Yeah.
All of those guys, we wouldn't be here talking about that without the kind of leaning into, these were all accomplished actors. I think they knew that there was some stigma to sci-fi, and maybe some of the sets were a little, a rock with some glitter on it and that kind of stuff. But their commitment to the material and the support that they had for each other is an ensemble that just elevated the entire thing, and that's why we're here.
Absolutely right. So my third one is an obvious one. I would be remiss if I left them off. It's the Borg.
Right.
Because to a similar reason that Ian gave for the SETI Eels. So when Q Who, the season 2 episode of Next Gen, debuted the Borg, I was 13, and I remember it being very scary and very foreboding. But then, crucially, more and more deepening, more and more exploration, and initially it was a good metaphor.
I think these are all metaphors. They're all holding up aspects of the human condition in a exaggerated way. So from a distance, you can kind of examine, and it speaks to you because that's something you innately already know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they did scare me too. This that you could be overtaken by something like that.
Yeah, the attack from within in the sort and ultimately as well, which is exactly that. And then it got very scary. Very in First Contact, it took on a new dimension when Alice Krieger came in as the Borg Queen.
Well, she just elevated it. I remember sitting in a theater and just saying, "This is Oscar-level performance here. Who is this woman? She is just so incredible."
Absolutely, and sexy and horrible at the same time.
All of it.
I had seen her in Ghost Story was my introduction.
Oh.
To Alice Krieger.
Right.
She was the ghostly figure with, was that Fred Astaire and John Houseman and Melvin Douglas and Douglas Fairbanks Sr. or Jr.
All those old studio strong actors, man. Yeah, I remember that. Fred Astaire in a Ghost Story. Okay.
Actually, he was the best thing in it.
He was in a burning building, wasn't he, at one point? So
yeah. Tobe, what about yours? What's yours?
Yeah, well, my third spot, we're back on DS9. There's a reason why it's my favorite show of Star Trek, and it's the Ferengi. Basically, the Ferengi went from being a joke baddie in TNG.
A failed baddie, really. Yeah.
Yeah, to becoming just an essential part of the success of DS9, and that is down to Armin and Max and Aaron and the characters of Quark, Rom and Nog, all brilliant. I'm going to throw Wallace Shawn as well as our guest Jeffrey in there as well. All, just memorable.
I played one, I played one too.
Yeah, absolutely.
He got you in there. Too late. I would have put you much earlier. Just saying.
In fact, Jeff, you played too, because you also were in Acquisition in Enterprise as well, which is one of my favorite episodes of Enterprise.
Yeah, I love that episode. They had to do a little dance there because the canon said that they hadn't met them yet. So they never gave them a name, which I think is kind of brilliant.
But that had you, Ethan, Clint Howard, and Matt Malloy.
Oh my God! Let me tell you something. Being on a set with a bunch of actors in Ferengi makeup is really one of the most joyful things because we would just look at each other. It's hard to get through a take because we would just look at you. Look like an idiot. And I think it's clown work.
Yeah.
It's clown work. And we all sort of just...
Clown work. I love that.
It was an infectious enjoyment of the fun of it. It's dreadful makeup. God, what those teeth do to the inside of your gums, I don't want to talk about. But we had such joy doing those episodes. And, I did a one-er, and then they asked me to come back, thanks to René Auberjonois. Actually, he directed a Ferengi episode and suggested me for this new character, Brunt. But Armin Shimmerman was such a pro. You go on these shows, and you don't know what's gonna happen. You're a kid, new kid in school, new school. You don't know anybody. You don't know how the lay of the land. And Armin came to me and said, "You have any questions? You want to run anything? Just come find me, and we'll do it." Welcome. Such a warm and inclusive guy, and I love him to this day.
Didn't he have people over at his house, Jeff, to rehearse?
I was going to ask about that, yeah.
I remember it differently. I'm sure he did. I don't remember going to his house. What I do remember is René asking us if we would come on a Saturday, if we would come to the studio and go to sit in one of the sound stages and run things. I remember that. But I don't, we may have, I just don't recall going to Armin's house, but we might have. I've been there since, but I just don't recall that. But I do remember that we got together and rehearsed off the clock because René's from the theater and, you rehearse. That's how you get it right. Yeah. It's such a thing with film and television. It's like, okay, we're here. You're in your makeup. Let's go.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait. In the theater, you rehearse for 4 or 5 weeks. Then you do the show. It's just, it's money.
There you go. let me bop in with my number 3, which are the Andor.
Let me just say something very quickly. In that I think the Ferengi served a really important purpose in Deep Space Nine. Not that they were comedy characters, but they often brought a lightness. I mean, there was real depth to their characters as well. But they brought a lightness in what was quite a dark show, dealing with some very...
They did, but they weren't two-dimensional.
No, exactly.
The relationship between Rom and his brother Quark and Nog, it was all very complex. They're out away from their culture, and they're evolving, and they have different philosophies, and they're trying desperately to hold on to what makes them Ferengi, but at the same time being introduced to another way of thinking. It's just a really, again, it's a very human thing to do, to take the best of another culture and learn from them.
And they sort of got past their views on females. The Lita relationship, they kind of even that
But once
out a little
again,
bit.
that's a human thing, isn't it? We have cultures now that still haven't got past their bizarre and backward relationship to women.
Yeah.
So there's just kind of, I love the whole idea of like that Ferengi women don't wear clothes.
Yeah.
But it's genius.
And then you bring in Andrea Martin to play Moogie and challenge all of that. It's just great.
Yeah, she was great.
Oh yeah, she hated all of that makeup. That's kind of why she didn't come back, because she was so wonderful. Cecily was really great, but Andrea, she was a trooper. I never saw her, Andrea Martin. It was such an honor for me, being a big SCTV fan too. But I never saw her. This is the thing with Star Trek. You work with actors, you never see them out of makeup. They get their makeup done somewhere else, and then you show up, and then you're working as Ferengi. I never saw her out of makeup.
Too funny.
Ever.
All right, my number 3 are the Andorians. Now, I'm going to pull out the ass smoke blower on this one, Jeff, because I love their evolution physically, in terms of the makeup, spiritually, politically, militaristically, relationship-wise with the other characters on the show on Enterprise. I wanted more of them. I wanted more of you. But the key thing here was kind of what you were saying about Leonard Nimoy developing the Vulcans. You're the Leonard Nimoy of the Andorians, in my opinion. I don't think our appreciation of the Andorians is there if you're not in that role.
Agreed.
And so I just thought you nailed it. I thought you made the characters interesting to listen to, interesting to follow their intrigue and what interested them, what their end goal was. And I thought, visually, you were talking about the blue eyes and all of that. I just think it was such a striking character that I just loved what they did with it. I specifically loved what you did with the role.
Well, thank you. I think also the technical prowess of those antennae, they were subtle. They weren't overused. They weren't like, hey, look, these move. It was just, you'd sit there and go, wait, did those move?
Incrementally.
Incremental little things. We created a whole vocabulary with those between me and the puppeteers. Any placement means something. Curiosity, anger, surprise. So we had a little choreography with those things. And thank you for your kind words. And again, they were a put upon species. That they are the way they are because of what has happened to them. And they have a real hard time trusting because of all of the centuries of trauma. And for Archer, it was wonderful working with Scott to be this figure that erodes my suspicions, and I begin to realize that I can trust. These are wonderful things to play, and I was forever grateful that they asked me to do that. It's really one of my proudest performances. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that.
Of course.
Talking of trust, or lack of in this case, like my number 2 is a species which Weyoun had particular contempt for. So if I was to say Casey Biggs, Marc Alaimo,
The Cardassians. Yes, right. Well, and at the apex of that is the absolute role of a lifetime by Marc Alaimo.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the role of a lifetime. The arc, the kind of power and ruthlessness and charm that he brought to that role is up there with the greats. He was a force to be reckoned with, but he was also. Why am I saying was? He's still around. He lives near me. Every once in a while, I run into him at the grocery store. The last time I saw him, I was looking for pasta. So all of a sudden, there's some guy standing there, and it was Mark. He didn't see me. And so I kind of stepped back, and he had a cart, and I just took it and started rolling it away. And he goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" Yeah, I don't think he recognized me. You know, I said, "Well, what does it look like?" I'm taking this, and he goes, so out of here. You can't do that.
It sounds very much like the Weyoun Golden Cat relationship, actually.
Yes. Well, we had a lot of fun like that. I don't see him enough. He's still around, but he really did create the power of those things, of the Cardassians, and so he stands the test of time.
Yeah.
That guy. Good choice.
Well, particularly the thing just to say is the what represents that sort of shades of grey that DS9 did so well is, with the Ma in particular, you'd never have predicted when you first saw him on the Cardassian freighter ship with...
Well, here's the thing. The writers don't know. The writers do not know that that's going to be the arc. The writers just know that they cast a guy and that there is a outline when they start a season, or maybe they have a good idea about maybe the first 5, 6, 7 episodes. But then it's sort of like they find their inspiration from dailies, how actors interact. Hey, I know what we could do. And so, that's where all of that comes from. A lot of it is a lot more in the seat of your pants than you think.
Yeah.
But it takes great writers to see the value in something and commit to it. I just loved that the arc. One of the things that was really good, I know that Ira was basically saying Cardassians are Nazis. But Alaimo, as an actor, was like, no, we're not. No, we're not. We're good guys. We know what we're doing. It's so... So he's committed to his character, and he just doesn't see how evil they are. Well, this is what makes it so chilling and mesmerizing, is you don't play bad. You don't play evil. You can't. You got to play somebody who's committed to it, just a different point of view, and has rationalized away the things that they are doing that are just hideous.
Well, I'm just going to say that the Cardassians are my number one. They're my number one pick.
Okay.
Simply my favourite villain in all of Trek. And I throw in David Warner and Martha Hackett, who are Madred and Seska as well, as two other ones from different series.
And Andy Robinson, though, as well, as Garak.
Oh, well, let's go ahead, Andy. There's another whole other nuance. What a brilliant actor he is. He just created...
I think he just turned 83 today or yesterday, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, that's right. Say it isn't so. Say that isn't so. He's a lovely, lovely man, and he's just a wonderful actor.
Right, I mean, for me, they are the metaphorical snakes in the grass. They look reptilian.
How they look is... Mike Westmore created the Cardassian look with that neck because of Marc Alaimo. Marc Alaimo had a very strong, long neck.
Yes, he does,
and he just accentuated that. He didn't have that role initially, Alaimo. Someone else was cast, right at the beginning of Deep Space Nine, and I guess it just wasn't working out. But they knew that Mark had played a Cardassian in Next Gen, and they brought him in, and the rest is Star Trek history.
Well, let's go to number 2, boys.
Yep.
Well, do you have one to add, Jeff?
I'm partial Andorians. I mean, I love playing the Vorta, but Andorians are they're in the original series, and what they gave me to play and their backstory that they created in Enterprise, of all of the roles that I played, that one feels unfinished. I didn't get a chance to round that one out. There was so much more to do.
That was going to be one of my questions, is if there was one you had more to learn about. That would be, yep, I'm with you.
That would be it.
Yep.
That would be it. I just think also just technically the entire apparatus and their wardrobe. We all can't do this without all of these top drawer artists in all of these departments. Robert Blackman is an unsung hero. He did all of the cost wardrobe. I actually knew Robert when I was a teenager. He did costume design for a number of plays that I did at the very first college that I went to.
Cool.
So when I went in for my first wardrobe fitting with him on the Paramount lot, he went, "Oh, I know this body." He's a good man. He's a genius. That would be my apex for me.
Yeah.
I love the Andorians. Unfinished business, unfortunately.
So Ian, you're number 2.
Mine are the Klingons.
Mine also the Klingons.
For all the reasons we've discussed. I mean, they're just cool.
Yeah.
You know, but
They
you
are
have
cool.
the element of religion, you have war, you have honor, you have rituals, love, hate. As modern Trek has taken us along, you've got adaptability. I love just the little snippets, and this is mostly Dorn, a humor in there as well. You know, the little bits of world building you get with the food and and you know, all that
You
stuff.
just like pain sticks. We know you just like pain sticks.
Yeah, pain sticks, batlets, lore, strength. There's so much that has been
He
explored.
broke my neck once. He broke Weyoun's neck.
He did. So do you like him or hate him?
That was a oneer, by the way. That was one take. And I was like, okay, wait, moving on. We got that.
Definitely the Klingons are my number 2.
Yeah, and you know, I'm going to throw in B'Elanna, Torres, Gowron, Martok, the old guys, Kor, Kang, and Koloth, who showed up, Michael and Sarah, William Campbell, David Kolokos.
A lot of powerhouse character actors with just basso profundo voices and demeanor. You know, it's one of the reasons why I went the way I did with the Vorta. It was because, man, I'm surrounded by these growling. I'll go the other way.
Silky smooth.
Yeah, and the thing is, the Klingons have changed over time,
Yes.
and they're changing it up again with Starfleet Academy here.
Well, they always do. All of these characters should change over time. So,
Okay, so my number 1, this won't surprise my fellow co-presenters here.
well, I have a question for you before you get into this. Do you do this every week? How do you go through your top 5 every week like this?
Every episode we do a top 7 or a top 5 generally. We have done discussion episodes, but the thing is, Star Trek's so vast.
It is. It is a galaxy, yes. So what's your number 1?
So my number 1 is the Trill.
Trill.
Yes, so I have one of my favorite characters and actors on the show. It was Terry Farrell as Jadzia Dax.
Yeah, she's a light. She's a lovely light of a person.
Yeah.
She's,
And
Yeah.
when I gravitate towards the DS. I've said it many times. I don't want to repeat myself, but it is the depth that DS9 brings, and I love the idea of the symbiont, the shared consciousness.
yeah. Again, this conflict, there's multiple inner histories within these people. They are manifesting this entity, but it's almost an examination of the spirit, the soul, continuing onward.
Yeah, sense memory and it's that and how we're many different people in reality and contained in one. It's that depth that I like. That's why I'm really drawn to it, and also because it's sort of understated.
Yeah,
and that grace, very few actors could pull off when they're in their 20s, calling Avery Brooks old man.
Old man, right. And the other thing I like about it is, okay, it is an old man because he knows him from that. However, she doesn't play the old man. She plays that who she is right now, which is a far more pleasant, easygoing, positive form. And so it's that contrast too. Again, inner conflict contrasts that just that captivate you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good choice.
My number one, without question, is the Vulcans.
Oh.
For Jeff, you nailed it with your explanation of why the Vulcans kind of topped your list. I just think that is the most remarkable species. I think people who know nothing about Star Trek know what the Vulcans are and know that Leonard Nimoy played the biggest Vulcan of them all. So, look, he is the Vulcan, right?
He is it. He's the mountain. He is the mountain.
See, but this is why he didn't. The Vulcans didn't make my list, because I only really see Spock and Leonard Nimoy's Spock specifically.
Well, that's a good point, because I actually thought of that. I went, well, a species or a performance? But his performance is so epic and so many iterations of it that he is the species. He is the template for the species.
But the hard thing is then when you see other Klingons,
other Vulcans, you mean?
Other Vulcans, they don't ever live up to that performance.
I'm going to politely disagree with you on that, Toby. I thought Gary Graham was excellent on Enterprise. I thought Mark Leonard was absolutely brilliant.
I think they're good, but I don't think they ever hit the same level as Leonard.
Yeah, Gary Graham was quite good on an Enterprise. It's very hard. That's what I think. What you appreciate is it's very hard to do what Leonard Nimoy did. He's just absolutely the perfect person. The other thing I love about him is you watch those early episodes of the original series. He hadn't found the character yet. He's hot in the pilot, and they turned it into the two-parter. He's coming on hot and emotional and reactionary. And I think that's because he hadn't had enough time to live with this character and realize, I don't have to do that. It's far more powerful. And my goodness, when he had that epiphany, it's for the ages. He's brilliant. But it also is a example of, like, you got to give somebody some time sometimes in a business that
rarely gives it to you.
Is like, it's like right now, please hurry.
Yeah.
But these are all good choices. You guys know your Trek.
What's your number one, though?
My number one was the Cardassians, but I don't think we've had Jeff.
I think my number one was
the Vulcans, right?
Vulcans, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Do you have another one that you'd like to throw in? Because I think we've had 4 from you.
Three
from you.
3 from me. I when we were talking about this with Ian, I said, do I have to have 5? I would agree with some of yours. I think the Cardassians and to give Alaimo and all of that group, that's a powerful arc. That's a powerful species. You know what keeps coming into my mind too is like humans.
That's true.
Yeah.
Terrans.
Humans are always the problem.
Yeah. I mean, humans are aliens to
the aliens.
I wouldn't say they're my number one, but I mean, guys, we wouldn't be here without the verve and sass and swashbuckling of William Shatner.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, a savior of Star Trek.
His panache, if you will, Scotty, Bones, Chekhov, I mean, so we got to throw them in. You know, we can't exclude them. They are another species. So there's some great performances.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ricardo Montalban, all humans.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're my number one, but I think they should be part of the gallery.
Jeff, since we still have you, let's real fast. What are you working on these days?
Well, I just did a little movie in Texas, a little interesting little horror movie here and there. I just came out with a big VR video game.
Oh, cool.
Great. I'm a big gamer.
Tell us the name of the movie. Tell us the name of the game.
Deadpool. It's Deadpool.
Oh,
Ah, wicked. Yes, I know it. I know it.
So that came out. It was really great. And was really happy to do that. You know, you get older, and I don't know, you watch anything on TV, and it's like, well, there's one older guy. The odds go way down, but, you know, I get people approaching me and asking me to do things, checking on my availability every once in a while. So I do voiceover, I do video games, and I'm still in front of the camera, frankly, not as much as I would like. I think I got some gas in the tank still, but things move on. All these iterations of Star Trek, but they're not shot here.
no.
But it must have been interesting to come in and do a little bit of voice work for Lower Decks, actually, come to think of it.
Love doing Lower Decks. I had such a joy, and I didn't understand why I thought it was just a brilliant approach, it's irreverent, quick-paced vibe, and they quit it. I don't understand, but
There seems to be 5 and done at the moment.
Yeah.
I really had a really good time. I thought the writing was really wonderful in it. So I did a little short movie last year, kind of a sci-fi thing, and it went to, film festivals all over the place.
I have a very self-serving question, which is, in August in Vegas, are you rat packing?
Yes,
Excellent.
that's the plan.
Because I've not heard you sing in person yet, so I'm looking
Are you
forward to
going?
that.
Are you going to be there?
No, for definite. Yeah.
At this point, we don't know who will be in the Rat Pack. There seems to be some shifting around about who's been invited to Vegas or not, and so we're a bit trying to figure that out. But that's the plan. It's the tradition that we close, and I would really like to do it with, who usually goes, but that hasn't all been solidified yet. So.
Well, if you're there, I'll be there. I'll be.
I'm very jealous. I'm the only one of these two, or the three of us, that's not going, so.
Well, the Rat Pack is a great load of fun. It's thanks to
Max.
Gordinchik.
Yeah.
He kind of started this with his, I call him the Al Yankovic of Star Trek. Parody songs, tunes, Star Trek lyrics. It's just brilliant. And then a lot of us have added our own work to it as well, all Star Trek based. Great fun, kind of like the Rat Pack. Tell jokes, have a cocktail in our hand, and
Well, I took my inspiration for your intro from your intro for yourself.
yeah. That's there you go. A couple of years ago, we went to the sound check before the show on the stage. We come back to the green room. William Shatner is sitting there by himself, but no one's around. He's just sitting there, and he goes, "Why are you all in tuxedos?" We explained to him, Rat Pack and Star Trek lyrics and all of that. And I said, Mr. Shatner, I also do an impersonation of you in the show. And he said, I do it better.
That's classic. That's classic. Jeff, speaking of classics.
He's a force of nature, that boy.
He is, and he's still going at 94. I do want to get around to another thing you have been doing, which was kind of touring with Reanimator for the 40th anniversary.
Oh my God!
Right?
Last year was Whirlwind. It was the 40th anniversary with a new Blu-ray, all the bells and whistles, and of course I was invited to a bunch of conventions, but also I went on a little tour of screenings.
Right.
I went to Seattle. I went to Milwaukee and Austin, and the most obscure one, Fresno. Fresno is a town in the middle of California in the agricultural long valley that's in the middle of California.
Bizarrely, I've been to Fresno.
As have I.
Have you?
As have I.
Why? Well,
I was
why? I want to know
road trip.
why. Road trip. Yeah, they were lovely. And the thing is these were lovely theaters. And the one that was most meaningful to me was Seattle, because I went to the University of Washington many years ago, graduated from there. There's an actor training program there. The theater was in the university district 3 blocks from where my apartment was when I lived there.
Wow.
So this was like going home. That was a nice rounding out for me. That after all these years, and when I was there, I didn't have any money to go to the movies. I was living on peanut butter sandwiches and loving what I was doing. So it was a kind of a spiritual gift for me to do that. But I got to see these grand old beautiful theaters that I never would have if they hadn't invited me.
Jeff, I have to tell you my Reanimator story. Oddly enough, I told this story last night at dinner. I was going in 1985 in New York City to my first ever junket. It was Cocoon and Prizzi's Honor weekend in New York City. So I'm going and I'm killing time because I get into the city early. And I say to the cab driver at Penn Station, look, I've got $5. Where can I get? And he's like, I'll take you to Midtown. We get to Midtown. He lets me out. This is back in the day when it was all porn theaters and.
Well, 42nd Street was
Street.
Like, you sure you want to go down
Exactly. So this was the dirtiest, slimiest area. But they had a big theater. One of the big theaters was right on 42nd Street. And they're playing Reanimator, which I had wanted to see on the big screen. So I go to see Reanimator, and that's how I became obsessed with the movie. And you and I have gotten to be friends over the years and all of that. I've gotten to do panels with you, and we did the cruise and all of that. But the funniest thing that comes to mind when I talk about this story is that theater was next door to a porn theater. The porn theater had a triple feature, the titles of which I will probably utter on my deathbed. It was Wicked Wanda, Dirty Sluts, and Gulp.
Gulp?
Gulp.
Which one did you watch, Ian?
Yeah.
Well, no. Well, the sequel was Gulp and Gulp Again, but it was...
Horror didn't have much respect in those days, but that is a movie that I'm here because of that movie. In tangential ways, because it got people aware of me, for better or worse. But I think that's one of the seminal great horror movies of all time, simply because everything works. Yeah. Everything works. How fortunate it is to have the right choices, editing, music, casting, direction,
special effects, horror makeup,
special effects,
prosthetics.
Well, my story is that for years, in one of the magazines I worked on, when anyone said something a bit risque, we used to go, Dr. West.
Dr. West.
Before we let you go, Jeff, is there anything we didn't discuss that you want to discuss that's important to you?
I hope we can save our country.
So do we.
Well, let's get into politics. When you got involved with Star Trek, did you realize how political the show was, and how interesting is it that so much of Deep Space Nine specifically is resonant right now as we're speaking?
Yeah. For instance, there's always echoes. And I actually think like the Ferengi and the kind of disdain and absolutism and kind of institutional cruelty that Brunt sort of personifies, without the humor, but this kind of you are unworthy because I don't agree with you kind of attitude, it was already there. this kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's just on another level here. I just did not ever imagine this would be where we are.
Yeah.
And we've got to do what we can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we would echo that because sometimes I think in the melee of what's going on, what happens in America affects all of us.
Oh, it's like throwing a rock in a pond.
Right.
Just the ripple effect is just out there, and I just hope we can redeem before more damage is done.
Right. Well, if we fall asunder, England will take us back.
we look at it. We look at what's going on over there, and it's just utter disbelief, really. Right? That's how you feel, Rich?
Yeah.
Well, here too.
Yeah.
Here too. And the fortunate thing is that the vast majority of Americans, and I think the polls are being actually a little too kind, because I go, really? You mean 36% like this? I don't think so. We're in a mess.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to do whatever we can to turn and get out of this. I feel like apologizing to you guys. Ultimately, this is not who we are.
No, I think we all know that.
We do know that, and we know a lot of Americans.
Yeah.
And Star Trek talks to what we can be.
Yeah.
And
It
that's
really does.
really important now.
Star Trek has always been about inclusiveness.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not about inclusiveness. This is about exclusivity, our way or the highway, and that's not what America was based on. That's just not.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on that note, thank you again, Jeff. That has been an absolute delight talking
amazing.
to you.
Brilliant.
Thank you, guys. I really had a really good time, and if we went over, I apologize. Maybe
No, we're the ones apologizing. We wanted to keep you in an hour.
We genuinely all love you. I'm a massive horror fan. I love all your work. So
Wow.
When we were prepping for our podcast, and we're on number 26, 30, whatever the number is.
Listen, Ian, you asked me to be on the first one.
yeah.
Yep.
And I know that, and I kind of hesitated, and I don't know, just because I don't do very many interviews anymore. I used to, but I honestly kind of started getting bored with my answers. Not because I didn't want to do it, it was just, I found myself into a place of just same answers, and it gets hard a while, And it kind of wears you down, and you go, oh, break. But I'm really thrilled that I did this with you gentlemen. You've refreshed my day and my week. You guys are doing a great job. I love this. Keep buoying up Star Trek, because it is a tone for our world.
Thanks again to Jeff, our guest. Of course, those are our favourite aliens on Star Trek, but we want to know what you think. You can email us or talk to us on social media. All the details are in the description as ever. But for now, in this specially renamed episode, it's goodbye from Beyond the Final Frontier.
Peace, love, and logic, everybody.
Ta-ra a bit.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Beyond the Final Frontier, our Star Trek podcast with me, Rich, and my friends Ian and Toby. If you want to get in contact with us, please email us on beyondffpod@gmail.com, or please rate and review us on the platform you're listening. It helps grow our community. You can also check us out on Instagram and Facebook on social media. Huge thanks for our original music to Alex Feidman. And if you search Alex Feidman Composer on YouTube, you can hear the full fantastic theme and more of his work. Also, a big thank you to award-winning voiceover artist Cissy Jones for our brilliant opening voiceover. Find out more about her incredible work on cissyjones.com. And of course, a big thank you for our brilliant artwork to designer Russell Seal, who you can find more about on behance.net/Russell Seal. Thanks again, and see you next episode, Beyond the Final Frontier.